Morning, peeps. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you're all doing very, very well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget as well to like and share the vids. Thank you so much to everyone that's doing that. How quickly has it got cold, by the way? Just like that. Like yesterday, I wore my winter jacket to work. I mean, last week, I was contemplating wearing shorts. It's crazy. How's that happened in a week? Madness. I woke up to the news, like most of you today, that Manny Pacquiao has officially announced his retirement from the sport of boxing. So not speculation or someone insinuating that he's going to do it. No, Manny Pacquiao officially announced it on his social media platforms. What a career. Like, just what a career. You know how I feel about Manny Pacquiao, and I continually go on about his career and the fact that he's an eight-weight world champion. 8 weight divisions. 8. 5 lineal. Absolute madness. But aside from like his boxing journey, and we'll talk about it, just his life journey, like where he's come from to then go and conquer the world of boxing and make those millions and have so many pay-per-view events, to where he's going to go to, which is eventually become president of the Philippines. I mean, that's just that's a movie, isn't it? That's just a movie. And it will be a movie. Like in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, there will be a movie made about Manny Pacquiao. Remember, like when I was young, I used to think about that with Arnold Schwarzenegger, like to come from Austria to do bodybuilding, which wasn't, I mean, it must have been quite weird to do bodybuilding back in the 60s and early 70s, to then become this Hollywood superstar, right? Superstar, then to become governor of California. I used to think of that as like the American dream, like that's just crazy. And Manny Pacquiao is as big, his story is as big, if not bigger. To become president of your country is just incredible. So I wish him good luck. And I'm so happy he's made the decision to retire. What is he, a couple of months away from his 43rd birthday? I mean, if you watched the Yordenis Ugas fight, I mean, it's Pacquiao, but it's not Pacquiao, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's not at all. Like the Pacquiao I watched growing up was a fucking whirlwind. Like just frightening, ferocious, like just scary. And no disrespect to Ugas, who's a good boxer in his own right, but Manny Pacquiao a few years ago, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So I'm happy to see him go out. And look, he's left a lot of money on the table. The Ugas rematch would have been a lot of money. The winner of Sean, and if he won the Ugas rematch, then you got the winner of Crawford versus Sean Porter, which would have been a lot of money, right? I'm sure running for presidency in any country isn't cheap, let alone the Philippines. So he's left a lot of money on the table, but he's made the right decision. And it's good when boxing doesn't retire you, but you retire from the sport of boxing. Too many boxers let boxing retire them to the point where they're just deteriorated. Manny Pacquiao isn't that. Manny Pacquiao is still very, very within his own mind and senses. And so I'm so happy. I'm just happy that he's called it quits. I was thinking about what's his best win. I mean, there's so many in it. I mean, pick your weight class first. I mean, obviously you've got the Barrera, Marquez and Morales fights, and I guess they will be sort of, they're legendary, iconic fights. But the one for me that stands out the most, I don't know why, maybe it's because I'm a huge fan of the opponent, is the Miguel Cotto fight. I'm a massive Miguel Cotto fan. And I remember Manny Pacquiao slept Ricky Hatton. I remember in the lead up to it, Miguel Cotto said, "I'm no Ricky Hatton." And I remember thinking, oh my God, we've got a fight here. Now, I do admit, I didn't like the fact that Manny Pacquiao drained him down to 145. Miguel Cotto was already a big 147. But he drained him down to 145, which, hey, a lot of money on the table. The fighters are going to make that weight. But when he did that to Cotto, like the way in which he beat up Cotto, again, at the time, one of my favorite fighters. I remember watching that fight with Ryan in Ryan's house, and we're like, Cotto too big, man. Like, it's Ricky Hatton, cool, but this is, you're taking a step up now. This is Miguel Cotto. I remember thinking, he ain't beating Miguel Cotto. He just ain't doing it. And he's not doing it the way in which he did it. And the way in which he did it was so impressive. So that was probably my best Manny Pacquiao performance, just because of, again, who he was fighting and the way in which he destroyed him. He's had so many, though. So many. I mean, some people even talk about the Keith Thurman performance. Not that it's one of his best, because, again, there's too many, but the fact he was way out of his era. Like, I mean, way out of his era. Keith Thurman was unbeaten and he beat Keith. That's a solid performance. Like, Keith didn't have any damage. Like, you wouldn't say Keith went into that fight with damage, like Keith's done. No, no, no. Keith, yes, he was out of the ring a bit with arm injuries, but in terms of beatdowns, Keith hadn't had any beatdowns, and Manny Pacquiao beat him as well. So, yeah, man, unbelievable career, unbelievable for me. And I know it's funny because I was speaking to Gareth A. Davis about this, and he reads it a bit differently. But for me, he's a top 10 fighter of all time. Like, and if he isn't top 10, then I don't know what the criteria is to be top 10. Because again, I will read out the stats. 8-weight world champion. In fact, there's more stats. That's silly. There's way more stats. I want to quickly go onto his Wikipedia page. Because it's not even just that. It's things like fighter of the decade. Like all those titles that we just forget. I mean, it's ridiculous. 2000 to 2009 Boxing Writers Association of America's Fighter of the Decade. 2000 to 2009 HBO's Fighter of the Decade. 2001 to 2010 WBC's Boxer of the Decade. Bear in mind who's around at this time. 2000 to 2010 WBO Best Pound for Pound Fighter of the Decade. 2006, 2008 and 2009 Boxing Writers Associations of America's Fighter of the Year. 2006, 2008, 2009 ESPN's Fighter of the Year. Same years, The Ring's Fighter of the Year. Jesus Christ. I can't read them all. Honestly, go onto his Wikipedia page. It goes on and on and on. Mate, I'm telling you, for me, top 10 pound for pound. You know what? If he isn't in your top 10 pound for pound, argue with yourself. Argue with yourself. All right, let's just run through some news. Just because we haven't really focused on a lot of news. It's been about AJ. This might just be that again. I'm guessing news will still be dominated by AJ, but we'll have a look. Fury's father defends Joshua. I don't know if you saw this. He done a little piece with Derek Chisora. I think they're on a bus. I think Steve Bunce is hosting it. I only saw little clips of it. Give AJ a break. It was his corner's fault. It was his corner's fault. So I guess, look, everyone has to take the blame for someone's defeat. I mean, you know, the team would have got plaudits if AJ won. So I guess with AJ losing, the team has to take the blame. But, yeah, I don't know if it was the corner's fault. I mean, everyone's so high on corner advice. Like, you know what I mean? It's funny how many times I've listened to a corner advice and the fighter just goes out and does something completely different. Like, fighter doesn't even do that. Like, you know, I remember, like, I'm a massive Nazeem Richardson fan, but Nazeem Richardson used to really say some funny things in the corner, and I was just thinking, they ain't gonna do that shit. They ain't gonna. So we can blame the corner because everyone's very upset about Rob McCracken's advice. I think maybe around 9, 10, 11 when he says, like, you're doing well. Maybe that's wrong. Or maybe it's a case of you do need to, you know, be a bit more aggressive like Emmanuel Stewart or Freddie Roach or Teddy Atlas would be in the corner and say, like, you know, you're fucking losing this fight. Like, Teddy was the best at it. You know, you're blowing it. Like that. Maybe you need a bit of that. I don't know. Maybe AJ doesn't respond to that. Maybe Rob knows what AJ responds to. Maybe he isn't the kind of person that responds to a slap on the face and screaming. Maybe he's not that guy. Maybe. But I do remember, though, when Manny Stewart did it to Vladimir Klitschko, and I'm going to forget who it was. I'm sorry. It might have been to Eddie Chambers, and he was like, "What are you doing? Like, we're not doing this again." And then Vladimir Klitschko went out and knocked his guy down. I can't remember who it was. It might not have been Fast Eddie Chambers. It might have been someone else. So maybe AJ does need a bit of that. I don't know. This is absolutely nuts. Like, I don't remember a fight being changed and going up and down as much as Kambosos Teofimo Lopez. Now, Kambosos has rejected the proposed date change, because there's been a date change, and he's filed legal action with the IBF. What is going on? Like, this is bad for both fighters. I mean, I feel sorry for both fighters, if I'm honest with you. I feel sorry for Teofimo Lopez, who's not then built on that fantastic win against Vasyl Lomachenko. And I feel sorry for Kambosos as well, as, you know, change. Like, it's all well and good if you're heavyweight, right? I mean, but if you are 135 pounds and you're thinking, all right, the fight's coming up and let's make weight, and you kind of measure it to, okay, I'm going to be 135 bang on by then, and That no, the fight's off, and then you have to okay, let's eat again, and you must be like that, like a fucking yo-yo. So look, let's see what happens with it. I did see something though that like Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. So Triller obviously won the bid. I think it was like 6 million or something, the purse bid. Matchroom and Eddie Hearn were second with 3.5. I read somewhere, this might be on Mike Coppinger's page or someone's page, that if this continues, like Triller might default, the fact that they've not put the fight on when they're supposed to, and it might then go to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, which obviously would be a massive fight for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and DAZN if they were to get that in the States. It's the kind of fight that they really need as well. Hearn here saying, I had it close before Usyk ran away with it at the end. I didn't. I didn't at all. I'm very, very sold now on Fury Wilder. Very sold. Wasn't sold at all for a while. Maybe it's a case of, you know, let's see how things play out. But then when Fury did that, have you seen that bit when they're asked to say something to each other? Wilder says he's bit like, what did he say? You better train like your life depends on it, because your life does depend on it. And that's quite chilling. But then Fury looks at the camera and says, I'm going to smash your effing face in, you effing prick. How's that for an effing message? I think I've watched that on repeat. No joke. No bullshit. It's weird how I say effing then say bullshit. I've watched it on repeat on Instagram about 100 times. Like, just let it play out. Just let it play out. I don't know why. I think it's chilling. And I think both of these fighters are, well, this is going to be something, boy. October 9th. We're not far away as well. What, a week and a half away. Don't forget the undercard as well. F.A. Jagba versus Frank Sanchez. Kaunaki versus Helenius. It's a great night of boxing. Great night of boxing. And we're definitely doing a live watch along for that. Definitely doing a live watch along. Like 100%. Anything else? Wilder manager shuts down Undisputed Showdown for near-term future. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Does that mean he doesn't necessarily want to go to Usyk straight away? Is it what? I don't understand. I do think if Wilder... By the way, is there a rematch clause in there if Fury loses? I've no idea how this is playing out. But if Wilder were to win, I do think it will be Wilder Ruiz in America. And that's a big, big fight. It really is. Ruiz might want to have one more. Didn't look great against Areola. Obviously, first fight under Eddie Reynoso. So he might want to have one more. But I do think if Wilder were to win, it isn't Usyk they go for. I do think it's Ruiz. I was just wondering what Fury does if he loses. I don't think Fury will lose, by the way. I think Fury's going to beat Wilder. But wonder what he does if he were to lose. Be interesting, right? Like, I mean, does he stay in the States? Does he come back and maybe, if Dillian White gets past Otto Volin, fight Dillian White? Does he campaign for a fourth match with Deontay Wilder? Does he do that? Bear in mind, it would be a win for Wilder, Fury draw. Sorry, win. No, he won't really. Win, draw, win. Don't know. I wonder what happens. It'll be interesting. It's a big, big fight. When you think of it like that, it's a big, big fight for Fury. Don't get me wrong, big, big fight for Wilder as well, but I think Wilder's, in many people's eyes, is the underdog. Fury's the massive favourite here. I haven't really thought about what Fury does next, you know. I haven't thought about it until now. I spoke to Alex Krasiuk, Alexander Usyk's promoter. Promoter? Manager? I don't know. Yeah, promoter, I think. I spoke to him yesterday for Talk Sport, and I was asking him about the rematch, and yep, they know that AJ's said he wants the rematch, and pretty much that's done. The rematch is going to happen. They're looking at February, March. I said where? He said anywhere in the world. Like, basically whoever pays the most money is where they're going to. He's not really thinking about a Ukraine homecoming fight for Alexander Usyk or anything like that, wherever pays the most money. And I also asked him, I said, look, Alexander Usyk's had some fantastic performance. You think of Gassiev, you think of what he did with Tony Bellew. Was that his best performance? Immediately shut me down and said no. He said even Usyk says it was only a 7 out of 10 performance. There's more to come. I knew it watching him that there's more gears for him to go up. There's more gears. Man, how big's the rematch though, by the way, now? Ain't it? The rematch is ginormous, isn't it? Ginormous. All right, let's quickly see what we've got. Is there anything else before we pack up? Anthony Joshua, I believe I'll get a good win a next fight with Usyk because of what I learned. There's a lot of things going around. I don't like to throw out excuses for AJ because I'm not sure, but a lot of people have been sending me this picture of AJ's right arm all taped up, supposedly a couple of weeks before the fight. I went to go and see AJ in Sheffield, as you guys know, and I didn't. Look, he's not going to tape up the arm in front of me, is he? But he was, he was mucking about on the bag. We were playing a bit of table tennis, you know what I mean? So I don't know if the arm was damaged because he wouldn't have hit the bag the way in which he hit it, and he certainly wouldn't have done anything else with it. But I mean, I don't know. Look, people were saying he didn't want to throw his right. He was tentative to throw his right. I think he was tentative to throw his right because he knew it was coming back. That's what I think. I remember when Shane was coming to the end, and Shane Mosley always used to let his hands go, like, brrr, you know, fast. Brrr. And towards the end, Shane didn't want to let him go because Shane was afraid of getting hit. So it's almost like, I'd rather be like that than like that and getting hit. So Shane always, remember Shane, these punches. And sometimes I feel with AJ now, it's not a case of his arm was injured as to why he didn't throw it. I think it's a case of you throw it, you're leaving yourself open for the counter. And I think he's more afraid of that, as opposed to some people saying, oh, he didn't throw his right hand because it was injured. I think it's more you didn't throw your right hand because you're a bit afraid of the counter, and it was a very fast counter from Usyk, wasn't it? Keith Furman here saying, Caleb Plant must not get caught by Canelo's power. No way, I don't believe you. Moving on. But oh, you know what we'll do? Very quickly, pound for pound. I was having a really good debate with someone, Rob Tebbit actually. Yeah, it was them. It was that Boxing Social thing we did. And I was talking about pound for pound. And I do believe Rob, could be wrong here, but I think Rob and Declan were saying Usyk's now #1 pound for pound. And me and Andy Clark were saying, no, Canelo. And I said Canelo's still #1 pound for pound. Like, although I thought he lost the first Golovkin fight, I thought the second Golovkin fight was a win or maybe a draw, maybe a draw, but it was close nonetheless. And I was like, there's nothing on Usyk's resume, not Bradis, not Gassiev, not Bellew, not Joshua, nothing that is as good as Golovkin. Nothing. Even if it's a draw against Golovkin, nothing's as good as that. Nothing at all. And you can go even back further down. Lara's a solid win as well. Again, close, controversial, but the fact is it's a solid win. And then the other reason why Canelo is #1 pound for pound and not Usyk is because of how active Canelo is. It's all well and good having one fight every 10 months or one fight a year. Canelo's having fights every bloody 6 months. In the space of 10 months, Canelo's going to go Callum Smith, Yildirim, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, clean up 168. Just like that. In 10 months, he's cleaned up a division. Now, Usyk done something similar, but it took a bit longer with the World Boxing Super Series. But this guy's doing it in 10 months, and he's doing it against unbeaten fighters, apart from Yildirim, obviously. So for me, it will be Canelo all day long. You know what we've not done, and we'll do it very quickly, just because time, what's the time? Time is of the essence, people. I haven't looked at this Sky Sports fight card coming up, if it's any good or not. Let's have a look and see. Chris Eubank Jr., who I spoke to yesterday, Simon Jordan was very tough on him. Simon Jordan says, you're not world class because every time you stepped up to world class, you've lost. And I was like, oh, here we go again. So I had to bring the tone down a little bit. He takes on Anatoly Muratov, who obviously is a late replacement. Anatoly Muratov fought 10 days ago, or 11 days ago now. So at least he's in some form of shape. But yeah, I mean, I think if this wasn't a big card, and it kind of is a big card, I think Sky would have cancelled the whole thing, if I'm honest with you. When the main event fighter tested positive for COVID 6 days out, or at the time it was 5 days out, you ain't finding a suitable replacement. But they want to keep Chris Eubank Jr. on the card, so they have found him someone. I think this guy's ranked #7 by the WBA, but he hasn't fought anyone. But then again, I didn't think Sven Albert was a suitable opponent anyway. David Avanesian versus Liam Taylor, obviously. I was shocked, again, another one. I was shocked that Avanesian wasn't signed by Matchroom and DAZN. It seemed like that was the signature to have if you're trying to build, especially if you're thinking about a Conor Benn fight. So I thought they would have got Avanesian, but he's on Sky. So good luck to them. Richard Riakporhe is on this card as well. We haven't seen Riakporhe for a while. He was with Dillian Whyte, no longer with Dillian Whyte as his manager, so maybe that was part of the reason as well. Another cruiserweight fight, Mikael Lawal, unbeaten versus Stephen Ward. Okay. Decent little card, by the way. Linus Udofia. Who's he fighting? Can't pronounce that guy's name. I'm going to watch that. It's decent. It's just decent, isn't it? It's decent. I'm definitely going to watch that, though. Good luck to a lot of the guys on the card, especially good luck to Richard Riakporhe. It's been a while since we've seen him. Let's see what he can do. Obviously, look, he's gunning for Lawrence Okoli. Lawrence Okoli now, though, again, just because of Richard Riakporhe is inactivity for the last couple of years, Lawrence Okoli's gone. It's not even a fight people are talking about, but hopefully he can get himself into a position where, maybe he's fighting for European title. I don't know who the European Cruiserweight champion is, but maybe Richard Riakporhe can do that. All right, guys, let's go to work. Peace.